Hey, Goodman here. I have played extensively through Arknights Enfield's beta test too. I have explored many beautiful sites, spent hours making a factory that isn't even optimal, finished the main story, and I have pressed my combo skill button 10,000 times. Today, I'll go through my thoughts on the game so you guys can see if you like it. Like and sub for tons of upcoming Endfield content and guides, and let's begin. Let's start with combat. Combat in Endfield is, in my experience, really fun. I can, however, see some people start out and mix a bunch of random characters and not get a super fun experience, but once you start putting together a synergistic team, and there are many, that's when it gets fantastic. You get to control one of 4 characters on the field, but all of them will participate in the fight alongside you, and you can swap to them at will. Combat also feels weighty, but also fluid, and there are hard fights which will require proper dodge timings, the use of consumables, and good skill management. Sometimes combat can be a little annoying with lots of little enemies shooting at you, but you'll get used to it and can use grouping abilities or crowd control effects or high stagger moves to keep them down. But what ties it together is the combo skill mechanic, which makes fights feel super cool and makes you feel like you're fighting with a full team. I can have the MC apply vulnerable with their crush skill, which lets Chen combo and apply another stack of vulnerable with her lift. That can then chain into Pogranichnik's skill, which will consume vulnerable stacks, which in turn triggers his own combo skill. And that's just one combination of this team's rotation. You could start with Pogranichnik, or skill on Chen in between for more stacking. If you need sustain, you could skill on your healer or shielder, etc. And this is just one team. It changes again with even just Li Feng over Endmin, and your whole team system and ordering obviously completely changes when swapping to a full new team like if using Lei Vertain. Because of the combo skill system and the various arts inflictions and effects you can trigger, I expect combat to be super fun and variable for most players, and not only that, but also keep getting better with the more characters that release. With the starting free roster though, it won't necessarily be too engaging, so you'll need to get some operators. For actual combat gamers, there is a lot to be desired though, but it is beta, and a few other gachas hid their endgame from their beta tests as well. There are hard boss fights you can tackle, but they will stay the same. The overworld can become quite difficult in the early game, and there is an extraction type mode called Edge Space Salvage, but there isn't more than that. It is also not very complete, it is pretty easy right now, and does not feel like a proper endgame. It also doesn't seem to reset. Now Beta 1 did have a resetting roguelike that didn't appear this time, so maybe that will come back revamped for release, and there is a hint of a mode called Umbral Monument that isn't in the game but is in the game tools, so maybe this will be it. Either way, I expect some new modes to come for release, so we have stuff to do after the main story, but this means I cannot really comment on endgame fun until that moment. I know Arknights doesn't follow the mainstream endgame format, so we'll see what route they go, but I think they'll cook something enjoyable. And what about the other major gameplay part? The factory. You will build various factories across the land and use it to create your equipment, to create healing consumables, to make parts to repair things in the world, and more like trading with NPC outposts for cash. To do so, you will gather resources from the planet, crush them and craft them in various ways, combine them even, or to make any craftable thing you desire. It is one of my favorite systems in any game because of how much it actually interacts with your gameplay, but I am biased as a factory game lover. And this game system is pretty varying in opinion. Some people love it, don't like it, are neutral, or even scared about its complexity. Well, I'd recommend trying it out rather than getting your opinion from social media, and I can tell you at least in complexity to not worry, as although it can be quite hard work at times, there are so many things in the game to help streamline the process. They give you so many tutorials, have simulation tutorials on every single major factory component. There are blueprints you can take from the game, you can even copy factories from friends, strangers, content creators, and there is a massive in-game database for all you need. So if you want to learn, it's very possible and will be a load of fun and stimulate your brain at least, I guess. If you don't want to learn and just want to kill enemies, you can somewhat ignore it by using the various in-game tools. But it is a large part of the game, and so if you don't like it at all, maybe it's not for you. Now, gameplay isn't everything, there is also the story. I loved a bunch of the original's Arknight stories, so coming into Endfield, I expected greatness. And the story is nice, but it's definitely different, and nothing too crazy yet in terms of themes, probably because it's trying to attract a larger audience. It also doesn't have over 6 years of story development, so we also can't really compare. It did get improved from Beta 1 with the introduction of some changes, new characters like Rossi, and it serves as a good opening to the game. But rather than instantly hitting you with dark topics, it is actually quite light-hearted in Valley for the first region. Yes, there are threats, there are mysteries surrounding your main character, and there's still Arypathy, an infectious disease. Though unlike OG Arknights, where it is a key point of conflict, here we live in a world where most of its worst symptoms can be reduced, and instead we focus on this new world with new threats. The Blight, the Ether Side, Anchors, the Angloi, Landbreakers. I also finished Wu Ling, and the story there gets better since it was revamped for this beta. You have cooler cutscenes, in my opinion more interesting personalities, and the events start ramping up. Ardashe presents a new side to the main villain roster, with a calm demeanor contrasting Neferith's constant cockiness and aggression. You also learn more about yourself and your contributions to the world, as yes, this Arknights MC also has amnesia. But based on how the OG tackled it better than most, I also expect this game to approach this theme properly and interestingly. Now, since it is a gacha game, I'll also talk about the gacha. There are parts I like that they do better than other big titles, and parts I don't like, and it is quite convoluted for people that didn't play Arknights. We also don't know the pool economy on release, but at least dailies are around the same as the other 3D gachas, so I expect it to be in line with the others. They should definitely work on the gacha more in my opinion though. They have great things like a lower average guarantee for 6-star operators than the other 3D gachas, as well as a lower pity, limited characters staying in the 50-50 loss pool for a couple banners after they leave, and a very high 6-star weapon drop rate. But then they have weird systems like the 120 guarantee not carrying over, a refunded temple but one that you can only use on the banner after the one you're pulling on, every 6-star character being a 50-50 until the guarantee, and an expensive weapon system until there are more means of acquiring weapon pool tickets. This used to be in the old endgame, so maybe they'll bring it back. But what also matters is not the rate of the stuff you'll be pulling, but how impactful they will be. Now, lower rarity operators right now all mostly have a place in teams. The 4 stars especially can be slotted into any of their respective elemental teams, and some operators I expect to remain strong for a long while, like Akakuri. High rarity operator dupes are also not very impactful, at least what I can tell early on, and I will be calculating their power in my upcoming character guides. Weapons also seem to have several alternatives for a lot of characters. For example, there are several arts units that are pretty similar in passives, so they shouldn't make or break your team at all if you don't pull the signature. Anyways, they definitely should simplify and improve the gacha system. If you can save up pools correctly and aren't tempted by many banners, it seems like a good system at least for the characters with the 120 guarantee, and I already hate the building pity concept in other games anyway. But the 120 carrying over would be really nice as an improvement, and anyways, for better take, we'll have to see more with proper pulling come on release, as well as how endgame and events will work to help that. And finally, let's talk about the other part of live service games, the grind. Gear doesn't require stamina or sanity to farm, and it has no RNG. You have fixed stats on pieces with several different pieces you can choose within a gear set. You have 4 slots, and 3 pieces of the same set are required to activate its effect, meaning you can off-piece 1 slot. Technically there is still RNG, but it will only be in upgrading your gear's stats. So rather than praying you hit max crit rolls on a piece, you have your desired piece from the get-go and can just work to maximize its stats in the long run. The other grind is the weapon essences, which are orbs you will slot into your weapon to upgrade the 3 passives on said weapon. These can be used on other weapons with the same passives, but if you want to properly pump a weapon to its max potential, you need to get lucky, and farming the ones you want will require sanity. There are also free-to-play purchasable main stat selectors that will let you get an essence with 2 stats that you desire, letting you remove some of the RNG. I am quite happy with the gear system though, but I also hope they release more sets for more build variety soon. I say that in every gacha because I'm a theory crafter and like build diversity, but here, since you can just build gear whenever without sanity, I feel like having more and more sets won't hurt as much as the other gachas. The only problem would be the part where you upgrade the stats. And for the final section, I'll just go through random stuff I like and stuff I want for the future. The exploration and especially Wu Ling are awesome. The places are very beautiful and enjoyable to discover. There were, however, some moments where it felt annoying to get to where I wanted to and couldn't find out how to. The social aspects of Dijiang and Endfield are awesome. I love that I can show off my characters and weapons and achievements in an explorable space that friends can visit. The shared facility system is also neat. The fact that I can make profit off of their stock market is cool. But on that same note, more social elements please, and let me type to my friends properly. There's a bunch of nice quality of life, and if you need to know something in-game resource-wise, you'll find it easily. but there are obvious quality of life features missing in the gameplay and factory. And please give us an archive to look at characters we don't own, it would be nice. And finally, the character designs are really cool. You have lots of different styles and personalities. I also love the custom artwork for each character in their potentials. I think the game has a lot of potential, and well, I'll be covering a game a ton on this channel, so I'll discover it with you guys. I hope to see improvements, but I also really like a lot of the game already. Overall, I'd like more modes for post-story, more quality of life, more story complexity, and we'll see what happens with the gacha. Anyways, like and sub if you enjoyed this video, join the Discord if you want to chat Endfield. Thank you for watching, and have a guoba day.